Booyah! What's up, Shack Houses? It's your boy, Shack House here. Happy Friday, all of you. I hope you guys are staying air conditioned. It's hot as a motherfucker out there today. Up here in the DMV, it's like 95 degrees. I suspect down where my friend in Florida is right now, it's probably hotter than that right now. It's probably 100 and something degrees by the time you walked out of the door at 7 o'clock in the morning. Anywho, I digress. Hope y'all had a good week. Let's talk about the latest episode of The Boys, Season 3, Episode 5, entitled The Last Time to Look on This World of Lies. And that was a major theme of this episode. Everybody lies, whether it's to further their own goals or to protect somebody, but lies are still lies at the end of the day. How's the episode start off with? Alright. The episode starts off with Mother's Milk. Actually, they're still in Moscow, right? Yeah, Mother's Milk. He's looking at old footage, old video laboratory recordings of Soldier Boy, right? Yeah, and they're testing Soldier Boy's durability, even going so far as to unload rounds of M16s in his mouth. Yeah, that's how strong his durability is. To partly recap from the last episode, if you recall, Soldier Boy, he injured Kimiko, right? He injured Kimiko. But what happened was, it turns out she's actually just comatose right now. I thought she was killed based on how the episode ended, but nah. She's just comatose and being watched over in a constant vigil by Frenchie. Eminem, yeah, Mother's Milk is still pissed at the Butcher for taking V24, the compound that temporarily gives him superpowers, but the Butcher's not apologetic about it. In his mind, he's leveled the playing field now against the soups that they gotta face. Meanwhile, Huey, he's vomiting from his ingestion of what's called a V24. And for a brief second, Butcher looks at Huey and sees a kid. And it briefly disturbs him. I don't know what that was about. Maybe the Butcher sees himself in Huey. I don't know. Back at VOD headquarters, Ashley, she's now the CEO, with Stan Edgar gone. And all the other board of directors are visibly nervous and kissing Homelander's ass, saying things like, "Thank you for restoring honesty to the company by getting rid of Stan Edgar, etc., etc." But Homelander immediately proves to be a childish asshole when one female board member named Maureen, she asks a question that he was not prepared to answer. He knows nothing about corporate culture at all. He's way out of his league. Meanwhile, the crime analytics section at VOD, it's being, there's a shakeup in their employment there. Yeah, the main head of the department, some Indian woman named Barbara, she's being replaced by the Deep. Yeah, the Deep, he still has his fiance, the more thicker looking Anna Kendrick. Yeah, more thicker and more fuckable in my opinion. Yeah, he has her mouthing his words and being his coach, his talking coach from across the room. But the Deep comes off as a typical department douchebag, the kind that I've seen at work typically for years now. The kind who talk about team building and employee evaluations are only formality. They don't really mean anything. I'm like, shut the fuck up with the bullshit already, will you? Meanwhile, in the media, Supersonic, yeah, his death is played out in the media as a drug overdose. A drug overdose. Really? The guy was lasered to death in different pieces and left a bloody mess on a roof. How the fuck is that a drug overdose? Did you motherfuckers see his body? What the fuck? Yeah, drugs don't do that to people. No. They probably might do that to you from the inside, but something external like that? No. Anyway, Huey and Starlight, they talk about Supersonic's death. But Huey, he's lying to her at first. He's lying to Annie at first about where he's been and not finding anything in Moscow. But his nervousness and his lack of an arm cast, because remember Kimiko broke his arm a few episodes back? His lack of an arm cast and it's fully healed, that makes her suspicious. So she drinks a fuck ton of White Claw. Nice product placement, by the way. And as he reveals everything that's happened during their trip in Russia, including finding Soldier Boy and him taking V24 to get some superpowers. He claims that he doesn't want to take the V24 no more because of the hangover that it causes, but nah, he liked that shit. He liked how it made him feel. I would too. Shit, if I give me superpowers for 24 hours, I would like that too. Well, depending on what they are. I don't want no off-the-wall shit where it's like I develop Hold on a fucking second. Sorry, guys. Let me just put this on airplane mode so we don't get no more distractions out of this. Yeah, I would want superpowers for 24 hours too, but nothing outlandish. For example, like being able to produce like gremlins out of your body by producing pimples, painful pimples over your body. What if I get one in my crotch area? That ain't gonna be no fun. Anywho, what's it called? Yeah, Huey, he liked the rush of having superpowers. And as a callback to season 2, he offers Annie a Charleston Chew. That's one of her favorite candy bars. In fact, another one of her favorite candy bars ends up in this episode as well too. An Almond Joy. Although I don't see how people can eat Almond Joys. Them shits were gross. What else happened? Meanwhile, Soldier Boy, as we saw in the last episode, he escaped from the lab, but now we see him escape from Russia in disguise. Queen Maeve, yeah, she goes to Butcher's hideout, his lair, to chew him out over Soldier Boy's escape and to give him more of the compound V24. He persuades her to get drunk with him. She's like, "I'm 4 months sober, asshole." It's been a year for me. As soon as we get to the next scene, what happens? She's drinking right out the bottle. Yeah, she's Irish, all right. She's drinking Beef Eater, though. She ain't drinking no Jameson. And what happens next is, what's it called? They bond over, Butcher and Maeve, they bond over their mutual dislike, their mutual hate for Homelander. And with this kind of bonding and tension, sex is bound to happen, and boy does it. Yeah, the Kinks You Really Got Me is playing in the background while they like take turns banging each other against a wall and on a desk. Yeah, Butcher don't like superheroes, but he likes fucking one. And also, he thinks that the superheroes are very dangerous, and all that Compound V does is amplify what you already are. And that's a callback to Wes Craven's, the first Swamp Thing movie that came out back in 1982, where Wes Craven's Swamp Thing in there, he posited the exact same theory about the formula that turned him into Swamp Thing in the first place. At the hospital, Frenchie, he's watching Kimiko. And what's it called? And when little Nina, who's the more colder Rachel McAdams, she walks in, she's still calling him Sergey, and she's looking to collect on their debt, right? Meanwhile, it's funny because the actor that plays Frenchie, Talmer Capone, he's playing a Russian pretending to be a Frenchie. Meanwhile, Capone himself, he's an Israeli actor. Oh, and in case I didn't mention earlier, this review, I be spoiling. So as a French would say, good point, better look away. Yeah, Nina wants she wants Frenchie to kill a man and his daughter in order to pay off his debt to her, but he's nervous about it. Because remember, he got what's-her-face's grandchildren killed. Their federal liaison that they got. The old white lady, I forget her name right now. But Kimiko, she wakes up. But she smiles when she realizes that she no longer has her superpowers. Hell, she doesn't even have the conventional super strength that all super people have. Meanwhile, Starlight, back at the VOD headquarters, she runs across A-Train, and she calls him out for getting Supersonic killed. Says, "You fucking coward. Why are you so desperate to be with people who hate you?" That's not supposed to be deep at all. I mean, because given the tongue-in-cheek nature of this show and the comic book series from which it's adapted from, that's facetious as hell. Meanwhile, that statement does come right back as Blue Hawk, the guy that A-Train has been complaining about the past few episodes, he gets called in by Homelander to have a talk with A-Train, right? But it's clear that Blue Hawk, he's a racist who thinks he's done no wrong. Meanwhile, Soldier Boy, he arrives in NYC, right? But he's distracted by all the billboards that show the 7 and a song that causes him to remember his time in a laboratory, and it sets off his explosive power, destroying a city block. Meanwhile, Eminem, he goes to pick up his daughter, Janine, from her stepdad's house, the white bread guy, Todd, and he's going to pick her up to go to a science center, which he's really excited about. But he's disturbed when Todd, he's all excited about Homelander, and he tells him how Janine, she thinks Homelander is the shit and whatnot. But Todd, he sees the footage of Soldier Boy blowing up that block, and he's left disturbed by it. Yeah, he still has a lot of childhood trauma because of Soldier Boy. And meanwhile, at Vought, Homelander is more concerned about his social media coverage as opposed to doing anything about Soldier Boy. In exasperation, though, he tells Starlight to go do something about it, to go save the day, as he puts it. Meanwhile, Butcher and Huey, they go to the explosion scene, and Ivy, one of Huey's co-workers with Victoria Newman, who doesn't even appear in this episode, mind you, she notices that his arm is no longer broken. They may come back to that later. That may be important, like a Chekhov's gun. There's a lot of radiation at the scene, courtesy of Soldier Boy, and Eminem's at the scene as well, too. Still pissed at Butcher. I'm like, why don't you just name him Angry Black Man? He's always angry about something. And he's willing to find Soldier Boy on his own, with no powers, which is tactically dangerous. But Butcher persuades him to team up. Meanwhile, back at the crime analytics portion of Vought, Starlight, she works with the sole remaining member there to find Soldier Boy. Turns out, the Deep, he fired damn near everybody who was a member of the crime analytics staff because of unfavorable tweets they made about Homelander. He says because of that they're not team players, but he probably saved their lives by doing that, considering how homicidal Homelander is. At the community center in Jersey, right in Trenton, A-Train, he springs it on his brother Nathan and the members of the community center that Blue Hawk, he's going to be there to speak. Blue Hawk, you can tell he doesn't want to be there because he brings out a written speech that he just hurries right through, right? And he talks about, but he's obviously a racist when he says some shit like, some of my best friends are black. It's like, and he goes off about how soup lives matter, a play on blue lives matter, or black lives matter, or my favorite, all lives matter. Fuck that. Yeah, I mean, he ends up injuring a lot of black people, throws them around, and he even injures A-Train's brother. We're going to get back to that later. Now, Huey, the Butcher, and Eminem go to visit the Legend, who's played by Paul Reiser, who recently had a turn in Stranger Things. Yeah, it turns out the Legend, he was a department head at Vought several years ago. He was the vice president of Hero Management before Madeline Stillwell, Elizabeth Shue's character, came in. The Legend, he decries how the heroes are now and how they're just like silicon and plastic and need to be coddled. And the boys, they want to know why Soldier Boy came to see him. They know that he was there, but he came to get his costume and to find out the Crimson Countess's address. And what's funny about this scene is that the Legend throws a bunch of pop culture legends at Huey, but Huey doesn't know who they are. Like Shannon Tweed, a B-movie sex actress, or Kelly LeBrock, the chick from Weird Science. I mean, for a guy who knows who Billy Joel is and owns all of his records, you don't know shit about the 80s, dude? Get the fuck out of here. Meanwhile, Homelander is on Cameron Coleman, trying to falsely assure people that Soldier Boy is not a terrorist and everything is all good. They should get out and live their lives, etc., etc. Meanwhile, Queen Maeve is in there too, and she's not in the interview, but she's watching footage of it when Homelander comes in. She calls him a paranoid, malignant narcissist. That's a very precise description of the Homelander. And he knows that she's been with the Butcher. He can smell it on her. But he doesn't know what they're planning. To that end, he ambushes her by using Black Noir. Starlight, she goes to see Ashley because she knows that Queen Maeve is missing, and Ashley is like practically just like reciting a script because she's scared of Homelander. It turns out Maeve is in some facility, one of their addiction rehab facilities over in Malibu, right? And she tells Ashley what Homelander has done, from killing Supersonic to this, and both of them are too scared to even say Homelander's name out loud. It's like you think if you say his name 5 times he'll appear like Candyman? No. He'll hear you, but I swear the only person that was never scared of Homelander is Stan Edgar. Well, him and the Butcher. Yeah. What's it called? But she tells Ashley to not be scared, but she reverts back to her CEO position and basically dismisses Starlight. So I'm like, Starlight, if I were you, I'd have used my powers on her. Like, fuck Ashley, she's useless. She's like a pair of nippleless tits, or tits on a board. She's useless. Meanwhile, A-Train, he learns in the hospital, the same hospital that Kamiko was recovering in. He learns that the Blue Hawk paralyzed his brother, and he'll never walk again. Meanwhile, the Blue Hawk is on TV trying to spin the events. I wouldn't blame A-Train for going ham on that dude at this point and just like using his super speed to punch this nigga over and over again, because he deserves that. That and worse. And do it in a humorous way too, because of the dark humor on the show. Meanwhile, there's a dream sequence between Frenchie and Kamiko and all the other patients at the hospital where they do a Julie Garland musical number. Yeah, she wakes up and Frenchie goes to go get coffee, but once he does that, I'm like, I knew this shit was gonna happen. He gets ambushed and captured by Nina. Meanwhile, we learn that the Crimson Countess, who was at the Vought International Amusement Park during the first episode, I think. Yeah, she lives in a trailer park, and she's trying to like do some wildlife thing with chimps in order to get her name back out there or whatever. But she's also an internet sex worker too, and one of her clients, Sir Comes-A-Lot, is played by Seth Rogen. Yeah, Seth Rogen is one of her customers, and she's about to do some shit with anal beads. No pun intended, people. Yeah, she's about to do something with them, but then the video gets interrupted by the boys when they come in and just bum rush the bitch. Yeah, they tie her up, and they hope to use her as bait for Soldier Boy. It turns out she knew he was alive all this time, and she fears that he's going to kill her when he finds her. And she fears he's going to kill her and all of them. She's right, he is going to kill her. He's out for vengeance. Meanwhile, Starlight arrives in the scene as well, too. It turns out she was informed of their whereabouts by Eminem, much to Huey's dismay, because they get into an argument right then and there about the dangers of him taking Compound V24 and his reasons for doing so. As Soldier Boy arrives, the guider that they use to measure nuclear radiation goes off. And as it goes off the charts, Eminem, he falls unconscious. It turns out the Butcher roofied him so that he wouldn't have to face face Soldier Boy without any powers. And the Butcher, as soon as Soldier Boy arrives, he arrives mostly clean shaven, but looks like a dead ringer for Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier. It's like he's a parody of that. And also, he hasn't aged either, which lends credence to that statement. The Butcher offers Soldier Boy the Countess in exchange for him teaming up with them to kill off the Homelander. And, Soldier Boy's very angry with the Countess. She betrayed him to the Russians when she was supposed to be his girlfriend. So he's angry about that, and he fucking goes nuclear on her and on her trailer park. Ain't nothing left of either one of them. Yeah, Starlight and Huey, they arrive on the scene, and she's ready to fight Soldier Boy, but Huey basically tells her to stand down. He tells her about the team-up they plan, and she begs him not to go, but he chooses to go with the Butcher. It's like Dr. House once said, everybody lies. Yeah, and this show is no different. I mean, Starlight still has some naiveness about her. Like she's that small-town Christian girl from the Bible Belt, but it's like, you really haven't learned yet. And Huey, by keeping secrets from her and willing to go along with the Butcher and liking Compound V24, yeah, he's taking a step up and having some balls. More than a step up, a few steps up, actually. Yeah, Eminem, he's still going to be pissed with the Butcher. Not enough to actually just turn against him and not team up with him, but at the end, he's probably gonna lay a punch into his face at the end, at the final episode of this season. Yeah. What else? Yeah, Homelander versus Soldier Boy. That's inevitable. Although him going nuclear on Homelander, that'll probably just destroy Homelander's costume. Yeah, and A-Train. Yeah, he's probably gonna team up reluctantly with the Deep, so they can fuck up Blue Hawk, and then he's gonna punch out the Deep. I mean, these superheroes, they're fucking divas, all of them. They can't be trusted with anything, not even for public safety. Shit's ridiculous. Yeah, that's what I predict is gonna happen, and that's what happened this episode. Tune in next Friday again when we look at episode number 6. And we all have a good weekend. I'm out of here. Get some sun even though it's hot outside too. Soak in all that vitamin D. All right. Later, folks.
Mansion, apartment.
Shack, house. Yes!
Yeah.